Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Ranking the Albums. We've got a two for you here today. Two for the price of one, one right after the other. Two short ones, two short catalogs. And in the co-captain's chair for both of them, Mr. Grant Arthur from Grant's Rock Warehouse and the Contrarians. And he and I now veterans of a show together on Brendan Snyder's channel recently. If
Yeah.
you haven't caught that, go check it out along
Yeah,
with.
we were just talking about that before we started to record, and everyone should go check that out because it's doing really good numbers.
Yep.
And congratulations to Brendan. Of course, he had us on. That might have been the draw. I'm just
Yeah.
joking. But no, great show over there. So check that out.
Yep. Absolutely. So today, for the first of this double shot that we're going to do of ranking the albums, again, two short catalogs, two albums each. The first one, though, is Neal, Schon, and Jan Hammer, otherwise known as Schon and Hammer. They've
Yeah.
got two albums, Untold Passion and Here to Stay. That was all they did. You got the separate ones there. There we go. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Very nice. This is wonderful BGO records. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, this release sounds really great. And we've talked about that, Pete, how those BGO records, if they do like a twofer or anything. I mean, I have nothing to do with BGO, but I've always been very pleased with what they've produced, and this is a great sounding
It's
set.
really good. Their packaging is great. The liner notes are great.
Mhm.
And I'm just kind of looking into the future a little because Grant and I are going to be doing a Loggins and Messina ranking the albums in the not too distant future. And I was able to get all six of their studio albums on three BGO sets. And again, fantastic. Just great layout, great liner notes, sound great, the whole nine yards. So we'll get to that in a couple of weeks. But for today, so of course, if you're watching this and you don't know who these two dudes are, of course, Neal Schon, the guitar player from Journey, also with Bad English, originally with Santana, lots of solo records, and Jan Hammer, keyboard player extraordinaire from the fusion side of things, Mahavishnu Orchestra, lots of solo records, appeared on lots of other people's albums, did the Miami Vice soundtrack stuff, right? Kind of a weird mixing of musicians. I remember when they first announced Untold Passion way back in, what was that, 1981. I
81,
was a
yeah.
Journey fan at the time, but I didn't know who the fuck Jan Hammer was at that time, right? Because I was just right then I was just starting to get into jazz rock a little bit. And then I'm like, oh, he's the guy I played with Jeff Beck, right? Because I wasn't into Mahavishnu yet at the time.
Mhm.
And kind of a weird combination, I thought. But the albums really work.
These albums, I hadn't heard these in a long time, so this is why you wanted to cover this is perfect. Because for one, Pete, not many people know about these records. No one's talking about them anymore. There's a couple of tracks we'll get to that they used to play back in the day on the radio. And I hear it and it just takes me right back to 1981 or 1982. Uh, but yeah, you look at this combination and I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be total fusion. Come on. Neil Schon can play anything you throw at him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And Jan Hammer, oh, this is going to be a fusion album. Yeah, there's some sprinkling of fusion in here, but there's a prog, there's pop, there's rock. When I was going through this and I was making my notes, I'm going, how would I even really classify this?
You can't, you
You, c-
almost like you
it,
can't
you
because there's a little bit of
can't,
everything. Maybe one of the albums you can classify a little more than the other. But yeah,
yeah.
it's everything you mentioned and then some. There's some like almost like new wavy type stuff in a couple
New
spots.
wave.
Yeah.
There's new wave elements, new wave keyboard sounds and stuff.
Yep.
We're going to get into it. But the thing is that you listen to this, it still sounds fresh to me, and it doesn't sound like anything else out at the time.
No.
I can't think of what this sounds like. There are a couple of things where I can like hear something and I go, oh, that's kind of sounds like Coney Hatch, but it really doesn't sound like anything from 1981, 1982. It's just kind
No.
of a
I would say the
mixture.
second album has a couple of tracks that I would say could have made really good Journey songs if the band had decided to use them. But for the most part, yeah, it's just, and no matter what style they're playing in on any of these songs, you get absolutely ripping playing from both of these dudes. And
Yeah,
very
you met
underrated bass playing from Colin Hodgkinson on the first album. I do want to mention because he is part of
right.
the trio, right? Even though his name doesn't appear on the front or anything like that. But yeah, very good.
But his bass playing's very up front in the mix,
Yeah,
very
oh,
predominant,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know. Well, actually, on the second album too, because when you're talking the Journey, we have Steve Perry on one track, Steve Smith's playing drums on some tracks, and then you've got Ross playing
Ballard.
bass.
Yep. Yep.
But the song Self-Defense, which you would think, oh my God, there's tons of Journey members on here. It doesn't sound anything like Journey.
Yeah, that one really doesn't. Yeah. Yeah.
No, but wouldn't you think though, with that specific, because it's not so heavy with Jan Hammer,
No.
but it does not sound like Journey at all. And Steve Perry's doing background vocals. It's just, I think it's one of those tracks. If you're a Journey fan, you probably ought to hear it because you'd be surprised because it fits right in with the rest of the whole Jan Hammer, Neal Schon catalog that they've done. It's just funny. It's just something to
And
mention.
were you surprised at how good Neil's vocals are on these albums?
Yes,
Pretty damn good, right?
pretty damn good. You would think when he starts out, you're going, oh, is this going to be, questionable? Can he really handle it? I don't have a problem with Neil's vocals at all.
No, no.
I don't have a problem with the production. I don't have any problem with the songwriting. Maybe some things I'm going, wow, that I think maybe they're trying to go for a hit here. But that's mostly on the second album.
Yeah.
Second album, I think, is a little bit more commercial sounding than the first album. But that's not bad though, because well, what's the one song? The song that I was going to bring up, No More Lies,
Yeah.
off the second album, is
Played
the
that a lot on the
song
radio.
that they used to play on the radio quite
Yeah.
a bit.
Yep.
And, after not hearing it so long, it's not like I return to this very often, but of course I've been playing it for 2 weeks. Um, it's really a good song and it's very catchy and it gets in your head and it doesn't leave.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised it wasn't bigger than it was. Neil Schon sounds great on it. You know, Guitars are blaring. The guitars on on these two records.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard for me to pick a favorite because I love both of these records, to be honest.
I like them for different reasons.
Different
Yeah.
reasons, but the guitars, you're a
I
guitar
think the
player.
first
Woo!
album is more for the folks who wanted to hear a fusion record from these two because there's a lot of instrumentals on the first album,
Mhm.
whereas the second album sounds more like a band album to me, even though it's
Yeah.
not really a band, right? But there's more song-based stuff and there's more like radio friendly. I think probably
Mhm.
the issue was, Grant, is that the first album didn't really sell all that well, and the record label was probably like, "All right, dude, you're from Journey. Let's crank out some hits here." And maybe the second album was more geared towards that. So I think the second album is more for folks who want those kind of like arena rock type of tracks, and there's a lot of good
Mhm.
ones on it. Whereas the first album has some of that too, but more instrumentals, so more for the
But
guys who want the
man,
playing.
I will say this, Pete. The instrumentals that are on here, like Arc, my God.
Oh yeah,
Heavy guitars, you've got that interaction between Hammer, the synth patterns. I'm assuming Steve Smith's playing drums on Arc because the drums on there kind of sounds like Steve Smith. I don't know because you don't get that information. And it really leans more prog and fusion, but the guitar keyboard interplay on Arc, it smokes. Everybody should hear that. It's
yeah. Arc
absolutely stunning.
Arc, it reminds me of what Jan was doing with Jeff Beck. So if anybody's a fan of like Wired or the There and Back album, that's kind of what Arc is like. It's very
Yeah.
good, very playful, engaging melody. Like, it's a lot upbeat, a lot of fun fusion type thing.
Yeah, there was a
Really good.
note that I don't know where I put it. There was a track on the second album that I wrote that really sounded like Jeff Beck to me too. Well, Peace of Mind on the second record. That doesn't remind me of Jeff Beck, but I do love the guitar sound on it. But you get almost a new age kind of sound on it, and it doesn't fit the
Yeah.
rest of the. I don't dislike it. It's just way different from anything else that's on these two albums.
Wish it was longer. And it's
Wish
kind
it
of
was
short.
longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I always love when Neil's playing a Strat. He has, I know we're going to go into guitar talk. His Strat sounds, when he's playing a Strat like on the Journey stuff,
You know it. You can tell instantly when he's
smoke
playing
it.
Les Paul or when he's playing a Strat.
Yeah. But man, this track is killer. It's different than the rest of the stuff. That other song, I know we're jumping all over, but it's two records, ladies and gentlemen. Covered by Midnight on the second album. Now that I hear, and that's total prog. It's big, it's majestic. You get a nice solo from Jan Hammer. but then you get vocals from Neal, and it doesn't take anything away from it, you know?
That might be my
Th-
favorite song on the second album.
I think, yeah.
Do you get
Well,
a
that
I
and I
get a
like No
Zeppelin
More
vibe from
Lies.
it. It's moody. I hear like a little
Mhm.
Zeppelin. I hear like also maybe some of the heavier bad English stuff from that first or second album on this.
Mhm.
I think Covered by Midnight is good. It's brooding. It's kind of dark. Great song.
There's one track on the second album that is also a little bit different. You mentioned that new wave type of atmosphere. Long time. You've got drum machine hand claps. It just sounds very different than the other stuff. The vocals
Yeah.
are very upfront in your face. It's got like different production than the rest of it.
Yeah.
Uh, it's got it's very new wave, almost power pop, total different vibe. It's kind of poppy, but on this record, Jan's keyboards really dominate. Because some of these songs you have songs where Jan's really dominating the song. Then you've got a song where it's really a guitar based song. So you get a little bit of both if you're a fan of both of these gentlemen, you know?
And ironically, these two guys didn't write a lot of the songs together.
Yeah.
It's like you got Jan songs, maybe with Colin or someone else. You got Neal songs with Colin or guys from Journey and stuff. It's kind of weird. They didn't really do a lot of writing together. So you got to
No,
wonder like how much of this was just like the record labels like, all right, we want you guys together, make it happen type of thing. I don't know. I don't
I
know.
don't know. And
Yeah.
I don't know the story. Do you know the story behind this, how they came together?
No
I mean,
idea.
what was the goal? I get it because it gets to, well, you know what Neil probably digs about this. He can stretch out, he can play those ripping, excellent melodic solos. When you listen to Neil play this, you can just tell he's into it. And I feel like when he's starting off on a solo, Pete, it's like he's just going to take right off. You know what I mean?
I
And
do.
I'm sitting there going, yes.
Like wasted time or
Yeah.
wasting time. The first track on the first album.
Mhm.
He's like just exploding on there. And then him and Jan do that back and forth soloing thing. Ah, I love that.
Yeah,
That just takes me back to McLaughlin and Hammer and Beck and Hammer. And I'm like, oh, this is so good.
that song reminds me of this does remind me of something. This reminds me of Monkey Bars from Coney Hatch. I don't know if it's the song structure. It has to be, but it just reminds me of that. And even the vocals kind of sound like Coney Hatch to some degree. But yeah, much more straightforward rock track on there. But the playing, it's well worth the price of admission
Yeah,
to hear that track.
that just gets you pulls you right in.
Mhm.
And then they give you I'm talking to you, which to me sounds like the Cars.
Mhm.
Talking to you. It's just catchy and bouncy and new wavy. I'm like, holy cow,
Yeah.
that's the Cars right there. They with a little more muscle, right? Ah, so good.
But you get a really good blend of Hammer and Schon on this one. There's no one that particularly stands out.
Yeah.
You just get a good blend. It's just a good song that they're just it's new wavy. And did you notice how dry this recording kind of sounds?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is fine. I don't have a problem with that, but considering the 80s and where what we are going into, but that's good because it doesn't date it so much. You're not lathered in horrible drum sounds or overworked reverb.
Yeah.
I dig it, you know.
Yeah. It's good stuff. I like the instrumentals. The ride is great. Great solo from both of them on there. You got the bluesy kind of hard rock of I'm Down, which is pretty
Hmm.
cool. Great riff on that. You mentioned Arc already. Arc is terrific. It's All
You know,
Right is
you know what
good.
I'm Down reminds me of, Pete? I kind of hear a little bit of Robin Trower in his playing on it,
Yeah, yeah, a little bit. Yeah, yeah.
which is,
It's okay with me.
hey, I'm
Yeah,
good. Yeah, but kind of reminds me of Robin Trower a little bit.
yeah,
But then I'm Down. What would you classify? Is it pop fusion? Because it's kind of poppy to some degree.
yeah,
I I really don't know how to classify this record. We always try to pigeonhole things, and I don't know where to put it. It's just good music. Yeah, that's all I can say.
yeah, yeah. I dig it. I like all the instrumentals on here. I think they're all
Mhm.
really good. And like I said, the bass player is really good. I think it's just a really good album. Really good album. Lots of different feels on it. And yeah, the second album is not quite the same though.
It's
but it's
not the
good when it
same, but
comes.
I don't think it's. I was thinking if we would rank these, which is my favorite. Well, I can, if I'm listening to the first record, well, that's my favorite. And then I listen to the second album, and then I'm going, oh, that's my favorite. They're like two different animals.
Yeah, they
I
totally.
appreciate the songwriting on the second album because it just seems like they're more, they're more, uh, what should I say? It just seems like they're concentrating on the songwriting aspect, where the other ones is
Yeah,
like more of a jammy kind of thing. But it's
and,
not worse or better in my the way I look at it.
and if you look at like the songwriting credits, so you got Glenn Burtnick,
Hmm.
uh, co-writes a couple tracks here. Of course, Glenn wound up being in Styx, plays a little
Yeah.
bass on here too. You've got Perry and Jonathan Cain are co-writing some stuff on here. So there's more people involved. It looks like there's more collaboration on this album on the songwriting side of things. But definitely because there's only the one instrumental, they obviously had to work a little harder to come up with
Hmm.
vocal lines and lyrics and all that sort of stuff. And it's definitely a more song-based album to me. So depending on what you like or what you're in the mood for, you got the first album, which is definitely more of the fusion-y type thing, and then you got this album, which is more of like the rock and pop record.
Yeah.
They're both great. They're both really good. But man, No More Lies. I tell you,
I love it. I'm
between
sorry. I
wasting
love it.
time on the first album and No More Lies on this album, both albums just start off with like a pow, just right off the bat.
Yeah.
Neal's like, yeah, I'm gonna lay out some molten riffing for you folks, and he
Jeez.
totally does.
Do
Totally does.
yourself a favor, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know these records, I definitely check them out,
Yeah,
you know.
good stuff.
And I couldn't really I can't rank them. They're both good just for different reasons.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sitting there looking through the track list, and I'm like, because another good one is Sticks and Stones, which has got like a Van Halen-ish type of thing going
Yeah.
on there.
Hmm.
I may edge to the first album just a little bit, but that just could be the mood I've been in this week, right? Because
Yeah.
I've been listening to a lot of Neil Schon. I picked up a bunch of his solo records recently that I didn't have, and I'm like, just Neil Schon is all over the place, and I think that maybe he gets to go off a little bit more on the
Hmm.
first album, but there's great stuff on the second album too. So I don't know. It's for those watching, yeah, I'm going to go the first album slightly over the second, but you can't go wrong with either one. And it's a no-brainer to just go pick up this double
Yeah, it's not
segment.
expensive.
No, it's not expensive at all. And it's one CD, right? I think they're both, yeah, they're both,
Yeah, it's just one CD.
yeah. So they're both included on here. You got, like I said, the booklet is amazing. Um, and if I can get it out of here, you have yours handy, maybe just flip through
Yes,
it
I
real quick
do.
for everybody. It's so thick, it's big. It's hard to get out of the jewel case. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at them.
There
Great
they are. Look at
shots.
that. Having a good time.
Yep.
There is a shot on here. There was one song that I made a note about, and I'm not sure, but let's see. Let me see if I can find the picture. Okay. You see here this picture with Jan and Neil. Neil's playing a guitar synth. And there's a track on here on the second album that I think might be guitar synth, and I'm not, I can't remember. Maybe I didn't write it down. Oh, no, I don't know. There are points on these records where you'll listen to the keyboards, and then Neil will come in and he'll just kind of blend right in. So I'm wondering if he's like playing guitar synth, maybe running
Possible.
the guitar through something and then the synth through something else and kind of blending with Jan. But there has to be some guitar synth on here because it's very similar to the keyboards, but it also sounds like a guitar.
Yeah,
That makes sense. It's a really a cool record.
it
It's a
is.
cool record.
And we haven't talked about it either, but Hammer plays most of the drums on these albums, and he's fine. You would think
He's
he'd be
fine.
like all this really like horrible sounding programmed drums and things because he's all into technology, but
Hmm.
it sounds fine. It sounds fine.
Yeah, on the second album, he's playing all the drums and Steve Smith's only playing on self-defense.
Yeah, yeah,
But I don't it's seamless.
yeah, yeah. It's good stuff.
Crazy.
These are really good
It's
albums.
yeah.
I never I never bought these back in the day, but I had a friend who had both of them, and I was always kind of like, I was a Journey fan, I was a Sean fan, but I never wound up getting them. And then when they came out with this a bunch of years ago, I picked it up, and I was kind of like, oh, where have these been all my life, right? Why did I not
Mhm.
own these for like the last 40 years, right? But yeah, really good, inexpensive. They both
Mhm.
sound great, and just a really, really good collection from the BGO folks. So yeah,
Yeah.
both good albums. I
I
would
don't
say.
remember these. Did these ever get like a domestic CD release? I don't remember these ever coming out on CD back in the day.
I
I
don't.
remember the vinyl because I had friends that had it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. I
I
don't
didn't pay
remember.
much attention. I don't
Yeah.
either. I don't think it did.
No. If they did, I wasn't paying attention. But
Yeah, maybe in Japan or something. Sounds like
yeah,
something would come out in Japan.
yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. Because this came out in 2019, so this might have been the first time. And a
Maybe.
great, put them all on one set is just totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense. Cool. So that's a little background and some tidbits on Untold Passion and Here to Stay from Schon and Hammer. Like Grant said, it's kind of hard to rank these as just two of them. They're both really, really good, but they're both kind of different from each other. So if you want the more song-based one, go for the second album. If you're interested in more of like the jams and the instrumental fusion stuff like that, the first album is probably for you. But they both have great playing, great vocals from Neal, amazing keyboard and guitar work, and great bass work too from Colin. So we do want to mention
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah, it's seamless. You could take both of these records, chop them up. You could make one record and it's the same production style.
yeah,
It's not like anything sounds, they could have been recorded at the same time. They weren't, but so it's all good.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's all good. Good stuff. So don't touch that dial because we'll be right back at you doing a very similar thing with the two Traveling Wilbury albums. So that's coming up. So Grant, I guess we'll do our big finale goodbyes at the end of that episode since they're staying with us for
Okay.
about an hour today. So we'll do
All
that.
right.
So for
Cool.
Grant Arthur, I'm Pete Pardo. Again, stay tuned. Ranking the albums of the Traveling Wilburys coming right up. Till then, see you soon. Bye bye.
See ya.